Hey there, I'm Stephanie Reddy, joined by Brendan Haywood, NBA champion, and welcome to Game Time. We're thrilled you guys are here with us. Brendan, you know what time of year this is. We do a lot of talking about free agency, player movement, etc. Well, we got something else to talk about. Someone who did not move, but is still huge, maybe possibly the biggest free agent out there. Mark Stein tweeted this: the Raptors have announced a new multi-year contract from Masai Ujiri, in addition to his new title of vice chairman and team president. How huge is that, Brendan?
Well, it's huge that you keep Masai in place because Masai is the guy that's helped set this culture in Toronto. Masai is the guy that made all the moves and pulled the strings that brought that championship to Toronto. So to have a guy like that with that type of basketball mind stay with your team, it's just great for the future and where the Raptors organization is going to go. Let's not forget, Masai also did an incredible job when he was in Denver. So Masai is somebody that knows his way around the block. He understands player relationships, player values, and how to get the most out of his players, and also who to put in positions of power. So I think this is great for the Toronto Raptors.
Yes, congratulations to Masai and congratulations to Toronto. We cannot forget to mention about Basketball Africa and how he has helped grow that too. All right, moving on to a player this time. Lou Will, back in the A. Reports that he is signing to return with the Hawks. Is significant or not, Brendan?
Very significant. This Hawks team is very young. They have a lot of guys between the ages of 22 to 26 years old that play heavy minutes. You need a veteran, a calming voice like Lou Williams. Lou Williams is somebody that everybody in that locker room will listen to and respect because he has years in the league and he can still go out there and do it. He might not be able to score like the Lou Will of 2, 3, 4 seasons ago, but he can still go out there and get a bucket when needed, as he showed in the playoffs. And I think when you bring that type of veteran presence to the locker room, that's always a good thing. You always need some good vets that can help fill out your roster.
I know another good vet returning back to his old team. George Hill will now be going back to the Milwaukee Bucks. And something to be said about a champion adding a good vet.
Yeah, well, the Bucks, they lost a little bit when they lost PJ Tucker. So bringing back a good veteran defensive presence like George Hill, even though they play different positions, the fact of the matter is you're still getting somebody that's tough, defensive-minded, and that can help your ball club win right now, because that's where the Milwaukee Bucks are. They're trying to run this thing back. So I thought this was a great signing. He's going to fit in great backing up Drew Holiday.
And another executive we have to just mention, congratulations to Michael Finley with the Dallas Mavericks. He has been promoted to assistant general manager and vice president of basketball operations. So
that's great.
Good job.
That's great, because Finn was around working in the front office when I was there, and I was there a long time ago. So he's been paying his dues behind the scenes. So to see Michael Finley move up and to finally be in that position is great. I'm sure he's going to continue to do great things. Absolutely.
Okay, so now it's time to take a look at the top remaining unrestricted free agents. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard is right there. We are all expecting him to go back to the Clippers, but look at the other names, Brendan. What jumps out?
What jumps out to me is obviously Dennis Schroder. I feel very bad for him because this is a guy that turned down an $84 million contract from the Lakers, and it doesn't look like he's going to sniff that money. Might have to take a one-year deal. So that's what stands out to me, is that Schroder's still out there. He's still on the market. I think he's still a very good player. I know the playoffs didn't go the way he wanted to go, but let's not forget how he played when he was in OKC. And let's not forget that he still had some good years when he played in Atlanta. Everybody doesn't play great with LeBron James because LeBron James' game requires you to make some sacrifices. So I think some teams that are overlooking Dennis Schroder have to take that into account. And it's not LeBron's fault. It's just that when LeBron comes in, you have to play a certain type of style. And I'm not sure if that ever fit with Dennis Schroder.
All right, now let's take a look at the top restricted free agents that remain. Markkanen, that's going to be an interesting situation with those Chicago Bulls. Hart and Diallo.
Yeah, I like Hart and Diallo, but the name that jumps out to me is Markkanen. Markkanen is somebody with size, lottery, pedigree. Obviously, I'm not sure if there's a lot of space for him to go back to the Bulls now, but I think Larry Markkanen is somebody that can really help a team because of the size, the versatility, the ability to put it on the floor like you see right here with that nice finish, and he can shoot the three. I think Markkanen is somebody that will get scooped up fairly soon.
This has been such an interesting offseason, Brendan. I mean, so much to keep track of. Tons of player movement. And yes.
A lot of money,
a
Steph.
A lot of money. A lot of trucks being
A lot of paper, Steph.
Gametime.
I believe The Athletic was first to report that. Good job, Bill. That was several months ago. But if he indeed declined it, he's not going to get that right now. There's just not enough teams with cap space who can afford paying that out to Schroder. I thought he had a great regular season with the Lakers, stumbled in the playoffs. I think we're all in tune with that. I don't know where he's going to land. I mean, I guess there's still a chance he can come back to the Lakers if he swallows his pride, if both sides kind of say, hey, do you want to be a backup for us? You're not going to be making anywhere near 21 mil. But, you know, it's not quite official that he's done with the Lakers.
Come join our 6 other guards.
Right. I think you know, I was kind of keeping an eye on it with the Lakers after Caruso walked, wondering if maybe that signaled a willingness to bring back Schroder on a team-friendly sort of short-term deal as a sixth man again. But I think that is flown with the arrival of Kendrick Nunn and Malik Monk. You just have to look at the extension decline as one of the worst possible decisions that we've seen in the league. Yeah. I mean, this is a guy who might have to sign for a mid-level exception for 1 year somewhere, try to restore his image and get another deal. But you look at it was always going to be a point guard saturated market. There weren't a ton of teams with cap space, and I just think he really overestimated the Lakers' desire to bring him back. And we saw that pretty quickly with them being willing to include him in that those talks for Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline, a deal probably should have made in hindsight. But the fact Dennis Schroder just a couple of bad breaks, obviously ended up in the COVID protocols twice this season, missed 10 days right before the start of the playoffs. Right. Yeah. And he just wasn't himself after he came back from that second time in the protocols. Yeah, I think he was scoreless in Game 5 in Phoenix. Yeah. And that to me just kind of signaled the end of this partnership.
Yeah, he was 0 for 9 in that game, if I remember correctly.
For 0 points.
Yeah, exactly. Possible destinations, Dallas, Memphis, they still have some cap space. He'd have to be a backup because both those teams have pretty good young point guards in Ja Morant and, of course, a guy named Luka Doncic.
Well, I think we just have to say, like, he came here to be a starting point guard.
It was 84?
It was 4 years, $84 million. Yeah. And he wanted closer to 100.
And right now he wanted 100. He could be looking at
5.5.
Wow. That's hard. From a guy with an uncertain future to a guy with a bright future, how happy are the Lakers, Bill, to keep THT?
I mean, I love the deal on THT. Like, I was concerned that another team was going to come in and push it much higher into the teens and make the Lakers make a really difficult choice, because I think
everyone thought that,
and I think they would have had to have matched that too, because they don't have any other assets for the future. Like, they don't have anybody that they could potentially use in a trade if they needed to change course or improve the team. They don't have anybody that they can look to as a piece of the future. Keeping Taylor Horton-Tucker, to me, was absolutely vital, almost at any number. Yeah. And getting him for $11 million, it's a deal that, if it has a player option in year 3, so he could be a free agent at 23 years old. But, they could do this again. They can sort of renegotiate in 2 years if he has sort of lived up to the potential that everyone sees in him. Like, obviously, there's a super strong relationship between his agent, Rich Paul, and Rob Pelinka. This was just a case of those sides coming together. They didn't lock him up for so long that THT isn't going to get his eventually. But this is a really good value for him right now. I think he's going to have a big role on this team. I liked the deal for both sides.
Bill, you already mentioned Caruso earlier in the show, and the Lakers had to make a decision. Which one is coming back? And they're both...
I don't think that's true, but I will entertain your point.
Well, sure. I mean, they both signed for about the same money. Caruso making about $9.5 million, and THT almost $11 million. And so the fact that THT is back, that's the guy that I would have preferred. The preferred candidate in my mind of those two would be this guy. I mean, you see the numbers there, just everything really blossoming for him after the All-Star break. Obviously, some injuries kind of paved the way for him to get more minutes than anyone would have thought, but a very good number when you keep in mind that the